Well, the federal government says they want to listen to Aboriginal voices. Let's hope they listen to this one. Joining me now, Senator for the NT, Jacinta Price. Jacinta, we've got two issues here. The welfare card is one, obviously, but you've got legislation to reimpose these alcohol bans. We know a lot of people in these communities affected, particularly the women who campaign so hard for them, are being railroaded by these changes in the NT. Tell us more.
Well, I've decided I'm in the midst of drafting a private senator's bill to put before the Senate to re-establish the alcohol bans in the Northern Territory that were recently lifted. I have been receiving phone calls flat out from vulnerable women, older women in communities who are talking about the violence, that the immediate impact of the alcohol that's been let back into these remote communities, communities that are close to my family. There have been families who have fled those communities because of feuds that have been reignited because of the introduction of alcohol. Children aren't going to schools. A lot of those kids now are in Alice Springs. They are contributing to the gangs of children running around our streets during the day, not attending school, no adult supervision and those sorts of issues. And the situation is getting worse. And this government is not doing anything, although the member for Lingiari, Marion Scrimgeour, has spoken about her deep concerns about alcohol being back out in these communities. But she has the power in this government to put those bans back in place to protect these vulnerable people.
Some of the most powerful things I ever heard was when I went to these communities with Tony Abbott, and particularly the women spoke about the impact of alcohol and how things had started to turn around after these bans. I'd love to go out there with you and a camera, because I think these are the sort of stories that need to get out amongst the communities. We talk about things like The Voice, which are not going to change the dial for vulnerable people. What do you think is going to be the government's response, your fellow senators' response to this bill?
They will continue to shrug it off. As you know, they'll make excuses for it. You know, the Attorney General of the Northern Territory, Chancey Pagg, basically prioritised the rights of individuals, alcoholics, to drink themselves to death if any of those individuals happen to be perpetrators of violence. Their rights trumped the rights of vulnerable people in those communities, the women and the children who are the victims of domestic and family violence from these perpetrators, put their rights below the rights of these individuals to consume alcohol. So, you know, I can't trust this Territory government, this Labor Territory government. I cannot trust the federal Labor government to do the right thing by those people in those remote communities whose lives are impacted on a daily basis. And given that, you know, the cashless debit card is being repealed by this government at the moment, we're debating over this particular issue before us, and they've ignored the calls from these vulnerable people in those communities. They listen to federally funded organisations, though, and services who say that they'd rather scrap the card and be better funded to deliver services for these people. That's who they're backing. They're backing the services, the service providers, over the calls of individuals whose lives are impacted. And this voice proposition does nothing to actually empower those voices. They're further empowering individuals who are part of organisations and bureaucracies who are not accountable to the lives of these people.